Now, when we model symmetrically, we will have to create the symmetrical opposite of our model, such as this base and arm of the chair, and go ahead and merge those together. Now, there are a number of tools that Maya has for mirroring objects, as well as tools for merging and connecting objects together. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one, which is just mirror. Now, I'm going to go ahead and select this object and go into face mode, and let's just select all of these faces. Now, when we want to make something symmetrical, we don't want a row of faces down the middle, so I'm going to go ahead and just delete those, and then go back into object mode. And the command we're looking for is mirror. So I'm going to find that under mesh, and let's go ahead and take a look at the options. Now with mirror, we have a bunch of options here. One is whether or not we want to cut the geometry. And that means that if these overlap, it will cut out these faces. So this is going to do the operation that we just did. And then the mirror axis, around what zero am I going to mirror this? In this case, I do have this aligned to 0. So we should be able to align it to the world axis. And then we're going to mirror around X. And we're going to mirror in the negative direction. And then once it's mirrored, what do we want to do? Do we want to combine it with the original? And do we want to merge those border vertices? Or do we not want to do that? Well, I'm going to go ahead and leave this at the defaults, and let's go ahead and just select mirror. And there we go. So this is already mirrored, and everything is stitched together. And that's really a very easy way of doing it. Now, there are going to be many times in Maya where you will have geometry that needs to be connected together, and it may not be as simple as mirroring. So let me show you some techniques for connecting objects together. So I'm going to go ahead and select this and hide it by going Control H. And let's go ahead and play with the back of the chair. So I'm going to right click, and let's go ahead and select these two faces and delete it. And then I'm going to flip it around by duplicating it and then scaling it. So I'm going to go ahead and hit Control D to duplicate. And there's my duplicate here. And then we can flip it around by scaling it in -1. When we do that, we can now move the two together. Now I'm going to not move them together all the way. But what I want to do is I want to connect all of these parts together. Now this can be a common situation that doesn't always have to work with mirroring. You could say connect the character's head to its torso or something like that. And so this technique will work for any type of geometry. So the first thing you need to do is we've got two separate objects here. We've got the first one and the second one. So I'm going to shift select those and let's combine them. So we're going to do mesh, combine. And when we do, they're now one mesh. And once we have one mesh, we can start to snap and connect vertices and edges. So one way to do this is to just move the vertices one at a time and connect them that way. So I'm going to select a vertex here, and I'm going to turn on snap to points. And I'm going to select this vertex, and I'm going to move it so that it snaps to its corresponding point. Now when I do that, that vertex is not connected. I need to connect it and merge it together. So I'm going to select both of those by marquee selecting them and do Edit Mesh, Merge. Now it's going to ask me for a threshold, and that threshold is how far away can they be at maximum in order to merge. So if they're within this distance, they will merge. Well, I snapped them together, so they should be. And so now these two should be snapped together. So if I take, say, an edge and move it, you'll see that it's all connected, and that's great. Now, another way to do this, and this is probably a faster way, is to use what's called target weld. So we can find that under Mesh Tools, Target Weld, and make sure you're in vertex mode here. And then all you have to do is select one vertex And then what you can do is you can drag it to any other vertex and it will snap it and then merge it. So I want to go directly across to this one. And there we go. Let's do another one. Now we can also snap and merge edges as well. So if I right click here and do edge, I can left click and snap that as well. And then here at the bottom, I'm going to go back to vertex and we can snap those together as well. So as you can see, there's a couple of different ways to connect objects together. The first is to simply use mirroring, which allows you to create a symmetrical copy that merges together. Now, if you don't have symmetrical copies or you want to merge things manually, you can use either the merge or the target weld tool.